G'day, so we're really excited to be here at Dicky Bills Farm in Maffra today, and Andrew is going to show us around the farm and talk to you guys who are backpackers who wanting to work on the farm, how you go about that and how you apply for jobs. So Andrew, thanks for having us.
No worries.
What have we got here? Just pretty much as far as the eye can see is
That's
the farm?
it. So here we've got, it's about 350 acres and we're a salad farm. So we grow varieties like baby spinach, Asian greens, wild rocket and some others for the wholesale and domestic market, as well as export as well.
And how many staff, backpackers, at the height of the season would you have?
So in the heart of the season, which is generally around December, January, we sort of peak at about 90 staff on board. And those roles can really range from farm-based roles. So we have weeding crews, we have harvest crews who do hand harvest and machine harvest. In saying that, we also look at really skilled applicants too for our backpackers. So anyone who's got previous experience in agriculture.
And how long have you been operating from this location?
So this location, this was a dairy farm in 2012, and Hugh Reardon, who's one of the co-directors and the business owner, who's based here at Maffra as well, he relocated a farm from Stanthorpe in Queensland and set up this farm here in 2012. So literally this was a dairy farm, and Hugh's orchestrated what you see here today.
So it's all pretty new, isn't it? And am I right in saying that you've been able to do that because of the irrigation available in the area and the water? Is that?
Yeah, that was one of Hugh's main criteria. So availability of water. So obviously we're in the McAllister irrigation district, and also soil type and also climate as well. So having a farm based in Victoria and one in Queensland allows us to provide product
grow year round.
Yeah, supply all year round.
Yeah, fantastic. Cool. And I understand there's a lot of farms around here that were traditionally dairy farms that are converting to cropping, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm born and bred Sale, and this is landscape out here, which Maffra not being far from Sale, is changed completely over the years from dairy to a lot of cropping because of the water and the soil type and the climate.
Obviously that requires a lot more staff during the harvesting season, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So when the weather turns and things start to heat up, it all happens very quickly. So we need staff on board really quickly in important roles. If we don't have staff in certain areas of the supply chain, then the whole system falls over.
Yeah. So Andrew, it's pretty hot outside today. It's over 30 degrees, but in here it's beautiful and cool. It's obviously a cool room area.
Yep.
Tell us what happens in here.
So in here, this is a dispatch marshalling area. So this is temperature controlled and sits at about 2 to 4 degrees, obviously to keep the product fresh. Behind you there is the pallet racking area where the finished product sits and then is freighted out via refrigerated trucks. Other areas in here are cold rooms to store the product with big fans in there. And in here on the left is another big area called the wash room where we actually wash product and they package it up.
Is this a job that everybody wants on a hot day?
Yeah, so the roles in here are really varied as well. So we've got forklift drivers, got QA staff. QA staff is a very important role. It's a role where you need to check the specs of the product. So each customer we have has a really strict protocols around the size of product that we cut. That is a role where we often get really good backpacker roles in those positions, and we train them up via an 8-day course that we've developed ourselves, and it's a role that has a lot of responsibility attached to it. So we've had some really good backpackers perform that role for us, and also do it here at Maffra and also at our Queensland farm after this season finishes. So in here is where we wash the product, and it flows through 3 lots of baths in there, and then it flows through the wall into the next room where we dry it, package it up, and then it comes back in here ready to go to customers. Roles in here, a lot of our seasonal backpacker staff have specific roles in this area where they tip the raw product into the baths and it goes on the conveyor belt and washes it. And they also do product mixes. So when you go to the supermarket and you see a bag of mixed salad leaves together, that's how it happens in here. So they have to get the ratios right and things like that. So it's a pretty important role as well. So Dicky Bill, we're a company that's really conscious on staff safety and doing the right thing, I guess, for all our processes. So like I said earlier, we pay all our staff against the horticulture award, whether that's casual or base rates as well as piece rates. In terms of safety, today is a hot day, so it's over 30 degrees out here today, so we've sent our staff home, our farm-based staff.
Yeah.
One, it's not healthy for them to be out in that sort of weather, and two, it's just not productive for us either. So,
So when we get in the height of summer and you've got whole 30-degree days in a row, what happens? Do you start a lot earlier in the day and work when it's cooler? Is that?
Yeah, we do. So we do start work earlier in the day or late at night in the heat of the summer. So because of the products that we're harvesting are quite delicate, so that plus staff safety, we work at those alternative times. So with all our staff, we actually have an online induction system as well. So before staff even set foot on the farm, they go through an online induction which tells them about making sure they hydrate themselves during work, to wear high vis in certain roles, to apply sunscreen. It also captures their bank account details and their email addresses for pay slips and those types of things. And that we found that to be a really great process because one, they get the information they need. It has pictures on there of staff doing certain roles so they understand before they even get here what it looks like. It explains the work conditions, so it can be hot, dusty, the next day it can be wet and muddy, cold. So some staff, like any staff, whether you're a backpacker or not, come into this industry, and if you've had experience in it, you know those conditions, but if you haven't, it's a bit of a shock to the system when you get here. So we try to
dress for the day in that scenario.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And how would backpackers know when you're hiring? Do they go to the website, or what's the process?
So when we hire staff, we advertise on Gumtree. So we'll list all our roles, whether it's shed-based or farm-based, on there. We also give specific requirements that we look for. So ideally, we want staff who are going to stay with us for 6 months for the entire season. Because we do a lot of training and invest a lot of time into them, our preference is that they stay the whole season if possible.
And typically, what month would you start taking on people?
Generally late September, early October. Through till
still be taking on people
through till March.
Right.
Yeah, we may have positions still available. So it's that block of time for the Maffra farm that we operate. Yeah.
And then you were saying earlier that some of your staff, you'll often then send them up, or they'll travel to the Queensland farm in the off season if they enjoy the work and want to keep working with you guys. Yeah,
so a lot of our staff do a season at each farm. So for instance, this year we've got a couple of forklift drivers who've just done a season at our Queensland farm and travelled down, and they're going to do a season with us, which is great because we don't need to train them. They're really good workers, and we value that. And obviously we treat them right and they treat us right as an employer, so it's a two-way street.
And you were telling me earlier that one of the guys out there started on another job, and you actually got him his forklift licence and trained him to do that,
Yeah, so where staff need training or licences in certain roles, if they're performing to the required standard, we will pay for their licence, so forklift licences and things like that. Other positions, key positions they perform where we train them up internally is operating tractors and doing basic tractor work. Team leader roles, like I said, QA roles, and those roles, if they aren't performed by someone who's really competent, then the whole supply chain falls over. And we obviously look at those roles and we at times pay above award for those positions.
Right, yeah, great.
To retain good staff.
So Andrew, as you said, if you want a job here, I think it'd be a great place to work for a backpacker. You can't just rock up at the gate. You've got to apply online, and basically it's on Gumtree. We'll put some links up when you are hiring through that October through to March time. But that's going to ask them to email you, right? And you're going to want a CV. What information should people put in that CV?
So things we ask for when people apply for roles with us through Gumtree is their current CV, so it needs to have what experience they've done. So whether that's been as in hospitality or whatever it might be, have been in Australia or back home. If they've got licences, so forklift licences for Australia, then we'd like to see copies of that as well. We'd also ask in our ads for them to indicate how long they want to stay for. So again, our preference is that they stay for 6 months. And also if they have any previous experience in agriculture or farming at all, whether it be abroad or in Australia. That's probably the key things.
Great. And do you need information about their visa and the status in that information as well?
Yeah, so we ask for a copy of their passport as well, or their passport details, and then we run a Vigo check prior to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And does this work count towards the 88 days they can get a second year visa?
Yeah.
Does this work count towards that on your farm?
Yeah, definitely. So this region, the day's work does account for the 88 days, and we sign off the forms when those staff members want to leave,
right,
and count them up, and away they go. So we actually have a process where we scan and email that copy to them, just in case we get questions from immigration. We can answer them on farm and have the copy available there too.
Right. Okay. So you actually give them a form which proves that they have worked the particular number of days, which they can then use to extend their visa if they're eligible.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So we complete the form on their behalf and have to sign it as an employer and give the dates and the days they've worked. So with all our recruitments, like I said there, we want applicants to apply through Gumtree when we have ads posted. I do want to stress that we don't want potential staff wandering out to the farm or making phone calls to our office. You have to apply through Gumtree, otherwise we won't look at your application.
Well, thanks, Andrew, for showing us around today. It's been great to have a look around the farm, the core room. You also mentioned that it's girls and guys. There's lots of heavily manual roles, but then there's also roles that you don't need to be strong inside. Do you want to talk about that?
That's right. So our roles are really varied. So they're either farm-based or shed-based, I would call them. So depending on your skill set and your preferences, we try and accommodate staff in certain areas. QA positions, we found that girls seem to perform that role, I think maybe because of attention to detail. And we've had some really good QA officers come through from the backpacker groups. And obviously there's roles there where if you've got previous tractor experience or forklift driving, we train you up internally and you take ownership of those positions as well. So all our equipment is pretty much brand new, all our forklifts and tractors.
Yeah, fantastic. Great. And of course, we're only about 25 minutes away from Warwick here, so it's a reasonably short drive to Gippsland Backpackers. We really hope you stay with us while you're working with Andrew here on the farm.